So this quote right here had been on my mind earlier that morning, and while I was out on a walk, it just bubbled back up, pulling me into this deeper curiosity. So I decided to follow that curiosity by having a conversation with ChatGPT here, digging into the idea from different angles. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I took that conversation and mapped it out in Obsidian Canvas, connecting the dots, capturing insights, and turning a simple spark into something real that you can come back to. If you're into thinking deep and wide, you should stick around. Let's dive into how a single note turned into a handful of connections and insights. So if you're anything like me, ideas, they don't just come and go, right? Sometimes they knock. Sometimes they're loud, sometimes it's a whisper, but keeping track of them and making space for your ideas to breathe and turning scattered thoughts into something meaningful, sometimes that can be overwhelming. The idea mentioned is my way of helping you do just that. It's a simple, human-centered approach to collecting and shaping and connecting your ideas, all without drowning in notes or complicated systems. And let me tell you, this isn't about being a knowledge worker, right? It's about being an idea lover, someone who plays with thoughts and explores possibilities and discovers new connections. If that sounds like you, I'd love for you to check out the Idea Mansion Guide. The link is in the description below. Okay, so we are in Obsidian right now, and I have ChatGPT pulled up on the right. And I'm using the feature where it actually Obsidian opens up a URL inside of Obsidian, right? So I don't have it two different windows, right? It's just, these are tabs within Obsidian, which is nice. So, and I can continue to interact with GPT while I'm in Obsidian, which is even more cool. I might try that in the near future. But, all right, so I was drawn to this quote by Leno Canelli. I think I heard it from some podcast. But if you spend your time chasing butterflies, they will fly away. But if you spend your time making a beautiful garden, the butterflies will come to you. Now, I'd put in the chat here that the first thing that comes to mind is the One Thing book. It's kind of a pattern for me lately, as I'm drawing these insights, these random insights and these random findings and quotes to a completely different book and stuff, right? The Blue Ocean Shift was in another video. Now this video and this moment right here is, butterflies and the One Thing book, right? If you've not read the One Thing, I try to sum it up right here. The right activity done in the right order creates compounding results, right? The lead domino is not chasing the butterfly. It's not even having anything to do with the butterfly directly, right? It's growing flowers that attract the butterfly. So in Obsidian Canvas, I started out adding this quote onto the canvas, right? Down here you have the options of, you can add just a note, which can turn into a file, or you can actually add a file that you already have. So that's what I did. I already had this, added it in here, and that's what it started out with. It did not start out looking like it is now, where it shows the flow of thought right here. It was just this one note. Now I did have ChatGPT on the right because I was going to start building this out and showing the flow. But I went ahead and made the One Thing connection, right? Visually, this is what is happening in my mind. On the right is the conversation, and this is what happened first, but now I'm visually showing what happened. So the One Thing, this is a connection, a line drawn to this note, which I already had this note. This One Thing note is for the book, so anything related to the book, I link back to that. So as you can see here, if I jump into the One Thing note, I have some connections here at the bottom. All right. Now, as I put the One Thing in here, I started typing out and searching in my notes, specifically the keywords, the one thing, to see if anything popped up. And by searching here, I found this note that I had discovered through a security training that I had to do at work, where it made me focus on just, I couldn't open up another tab or whatever. Like, I had to focus on the security training. So the key to mastery is one thing at a time. That's what I took away, and that's the title of the note. By searching, I was able to find a related item, which then I connected to the one thing right here, because that's what it's related to. So you can see, like, there is some connections happening here and some actions that I took to be able to find those connections. Now, the right activity done in the right order, that when I was typing it out is what I call a narration, right? It's basically me telling back my version of whatever the concept is, whatever the idea is. It's actually really powerful to use narration when you are trying to understand a concept, is by retelling in your own words what is this thing that you're trying to explain, this idea. So I was naturally trying to say that, and what came out was the right activity done in the right order the right activity done in the right order creates compounding results. So I made this a new card. This was not, or a new note. I'm getting this mixed up with a heptabase. So I made this a new note because it didn't exist before. I linked the one thing so that has the connection there. And I did put in here in this field right here, the line label, this is what we can call it, what was happening, right? So this is a connection, this is a narration for me. And I ended up also linking the butterfly quote because I have some additional thoughts, right, about the lead domino that I wanted to give context to. And we'll get into more of these connections here as the thought flow continues down and we continue down the trail. Let me scroll down here on GPT. I was reading through the GPT's response, and a thought came to mind because it was talking about butterflies are the result, right? That's the success. That's the opportunity. The garden is the habit or the system, the daily action. The lead domino is the intentional act of planting and tending. So I had this thought. Create conditions where what you desire will automatically happen, right? I desire to be around butterflies. So to create, instead of, chasing the butterfly, I create a condition where the butterflies come to me naturally, right? So I was like, okay, that needs to be its own insight and note, because this was an insight. So from my thought of my narration of the right activity done in the right order creates compounding results, of the one thing, I had an insight. Create conditions where what you desire automatically happens. And I'm going to go ahead and link the one thing here. And I'm going to link, you know what? I already did that. I linked it up here. I mean, I could link it in both places, but create conditions where so these are connected. So there's an insight, and I labeled it insight for me to visually see what's going on here. All right, so then we continue down the conversation. And I had mentioned that it's interesting that, what you should be focusing on doesn't directly have to do with what you desire. And sometimes that can be frustrating, right? So we kind of riff on that idea a little bit. And here's another random connection, right? And thinking in dialogue like this is, I'm going to keep saying it. I've said it in other videos, but this has become a powerful way for me to find these connections. Right now, I'm going into Karate Kid with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith, and so I mean, if you look at it, we are talking about butterflies. Now we're talking about a productivity book, right? That links to a productivity book. And we break down the productivity book and we find connections, and I have an insight. And now we are in this new territory of Karate Kid, and now we're connecting to movies and ideas within the movie. And so I say, actually, that makes me think of the Karate Kid with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith. And I go into the whole jacket on, jacket off, which is, parallel to the wax on and wax off in the original Karate Kid. But what I was thinking of in the moment is this version, this newer version with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith. Right, so I this was not something that existed before in my notes, so now it needs to exist. Right, and so I gave it a name, the jacket off, jacket on principle. And I say this started with this idea that, and then I linked this note, the right activity done in the right order. So there's a context of where this came from inside of this note, and it's kind of fits naturally. Like you can do, I do this both ways. I do like a related, and then I do bullet points, but you can also do it within a sentence so it feels natural. So I went ahead and put in the context, right, of how this relates to the right activity done in the right order creates compounding results. And then GPT's response came up with this line that I was like, okay, I gotta probably save that because it's interesting. The outcome is hidden inside the ordinary, right? The outcome in this case with Jaden is, I want to learn Kung Fu, but you're making me take off my jacket, put on my jacket, hang up my jacket, put my jacket on the floor. Like, what the heck am I doing? There's that moment where he just gets so frustrated and fed up and he's about to leave, and Jackie Chan stops him and he makes him do it again, and then he shows him how he's been learning Kung Fu the whole time. It's great. So I thought, okay, I need to make that its own thing. So in this note, I created the link because this was already here, so I just went ahead and used the double brackets to create this note. The outcome is hidden inside the ordinary. And now this is an insight. Right? I drew the line here. As I was considering this idea and these connections, I had another thought. I loved this line, and it reminded me of a quote from Eugene Peterson, who translated the Bible into what we call the Message translation, right? And his quote is, "Faithfulness is long obedience in the same direction." And so I said, there is power in staying power. If you don't have the patience and faithfulness to continue to water, the flowers will never bloom and the butterfly never comes. All right, so tying back to this whole beginning, thought that started this whole thought trail. So I needed to then create a link for that as well. Faithfulness. Now this note, I already had this note in my notes. which Obsidian, when you hit Command O on Mac, it's find or create a note. So it's great. Like, you can start typing the idea, the concept. Faithfulness is long. Yeah. So it's showing up here. So I can say, oh, I already have something here, and I can go into that note, which is now a room in my idea mansion, right? I can go into that room and I can add things if I want to, or in this case, I can make a connection. So I'm entering the room right now. Here's the door. Faithfulness is long obedience in the same direction. And I heard this recently when I created this note. I said, pay attention to this, because I heard it twice in the same day. I was thinking something about that line, long obedience in the same direction. In the season that I was in, I needed to stay faithful and to stay obedient to what God was calling me to. But now, this note is resurfacing, and I'm in this room, and I want to add a lamp, if you want to continue on in the metaphor and the analogy there. I want to add a lamp, and that lamp is... actually, I guess it's really another door. A door to another room, which is the outcome is hidden inside the ordinary. So, like I mentioned before, I can do related, bullet points. Bullet points are my favorite thing in the world. The outcome is hidden inside the ordinary. So now I have this linked up, and it's there for me when I come back to it. I also went ahead and linked staying power, because a few years back I looked up the word endurance, and one of the synonyms was staying power, and I thought, wow, like that is just something that, I don't know, feels like it carries a lot of weight. Like, there's the word endurance, but then there's like this other synonym of staying power. Do you have staying power? The power to stay when things are hard. That's just incredible to me. So I linked that to create its own room, and now it's got some other doors in the idea mansion. Which reminds me of another, like, I had this on another video where I had talked about something that GPT said in regards to a comment that I had made, and it had mentioned gold vein, like you're hitting a gold vein. And I was like, man, I want to keep that. So I feel like, I don't know, if there's something that's like this idea is something that is powerful, that is just, it strikes gold kind of thing, I should maybe link to gold vein. So maybe I will do that down here, and I can type gold. There it is, gold vein. This is a room in my idea mansion that I randomly created. Gold vein, which already has creation equals credibility. And now the outcome is hidden inside the ordinary. So when I come to this room, there's nothing really in the room, meaning there's nothing inside the body right here of the note, but there are doors. So the purpose of this is to invite me into a space where I can find other connections, other doors that lead to other areas of the idea mansion, right? And maybe I'll add something in the room, in the body here, later down the road. I don't really know. And then this is also, I feel like, a gold vein too. Yeah. So I'm going to keep that. Now, let's look at, just for kicks, I'm going to open this up in a new tab. And then I'm going to hit Command O, or Command P, start typing local to open up the local graph. And I'm done with GPT for now, so I'm going to... All right, so this is the local graph, meaning that these are the connections directly to this node. But if I go into filters and this depth right here, I can change that from 1 layer to 2 layers deep. Let's go 2 layers deep, and bam! So many more connections. 3 layers deep. Look at that. Creation equals credibility is showing up in here. Look at this. I didn't connect these notes, but it's connected to faithfulness, which is in this session, this note-making session. And what's connected to this is to obey God requires faithfulness, and faithfulness requires focus. And focus requires that we say no to everything except what we've been told to do. Right? You can see when I increase the depth, I can see more connections. It's just really cool to see that. In a future video, I'll probably go in more in depth, well, pun intended or not intended, on how this can give you more connections. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me and nerding out with me as we dive into note making and thinking deep and wide. If anything stood out to you in all of this, or anything you want to try, or if you have questions, let me know in the comments, and I will see you on the next video.